Hey guys, I just finished my Middle Age Agartha campaign. You can see here we have all the thrones and we got the victory message. I just want to share a little bit of the strategies I used to complete this campaign. This guide is going to be intended for a beginner and intermediate players, but if you're an advanced player, you might learn something too. So I guess we'll start off by talking a little bit about the nation. So Middle Age Agartha is a cave dwelling nation. And in Dominion 6, you actually spawn in a cave, which is new to Dominion 6, or to the Dominion's franchise. I got lucky with this cave spawn and only got two entrances and exits, which are here and here, and they are relatively close to each other. I also got a throne right next to those entrances. So this nation relies on its national summons to do the heavy lifting for the most part. You do have a sacred unit that's decent, but I would say for the most part, it's the summons that you want to focus on, which we're going to go over. But before we go over that, we'll talk a little bit about the units that I used. So this is our main battle mage, Oracle of the Ancients. Slow to recruit at 4 recruitment points, which means it takes 2 turns to recruit. It is sacred 3, or it is a priest level 3, and it is sacred, so it can be blessed. That also means it can cast Divine Blessing, which blesses your entire army with 1 spell, and you can also use it to cast, or you can also use it to claim thrones. Sorry. It also has a Fortune Teller trait, which prevents bad events. So if you want to run misfortune on your pretender, you can. Also has the Inspirational trait, which gives all the troops +1 to morale. It's amphibian, so it can go in the water, and it doesn't consume any supplies. We use this battle mage to cast Marble Army, Strength of the Giants, and all of our buff spells that we use. We also use this to summon our undead units as well. The next unit I use would be the Golem Crafter, another staple battle mage for Middle Age Agartha. We use this unit to cast Magma Bolts and Earth Meld, mostly. And we also use it to cast Rux Pact, which summons Magma Childs, which we're going to go over. First, we'll go over the spells that it uses. So Magma Bolts is basically a shotgun fireball. It's pretty good range and pretty good damage as well. And we also use it to cast Earth Meld. This spell is useful because it traps the person you're casting it on. They get stuck in the ground, and they have to pass a strength check to get unstuck. And while they're stuck, they are unable to move or attack. The next unit we want to talk about is this unit. I didn't really mess with this unit because I was just so rich, but this would be your main research monkey. Has Fortune Teller, which prevents bad events, and it's a priest, sacred, so it can be blessed. Other than that, there's really not much to talk about. One detail I forgot to mention with the Oracle of the Ancients is you can actually make these into a thug, although it's going to need some patching up because it's got really bad attack skill. I didn't use it as a thug in this campaign, but I've heard people making these into thugs. This unit here is the unit I used for expansion, Ancient Lord, before I could afford the Oracle, because it has the Inspirational trait, which gives +1 morale. It's also amphibian and sacred, so it can be blessed. Our main sacred unit that we used in our armies would be the Shard Guard, of course. Pretty good protection. I would say that's a low defense skill and low attack skill. If you are bothered by the low attack skill, you can take fire in your Pretender God and just get an attack skill bonus. But these guys can be buffed, and they hit pretty hard at 31 damage. This damage is also magic, so you don't need to take magic weapons in your pretender. Also has a pretty good morale stat as well. Our main chaff unit would be Defender of the Halls. I actually prefer these over the heavy infantry because they have more HP and they actually have a siege bonus, so you can siege down a castle really fast with these chaff units. Castle defense bonus, and they can go in the water, so if you need to go in the water you can. And they don't consume any supplies, so you won't run into supply issues with this chaff unit. Those are pretty much the units I used. These other units are decent. You know, if you want to experiment with throw rocks, you can. Boulders, these guys have pretty good siege bonus too, and they're also sacred. Troglodytes I didn't really use, but they have trample, and they can only be put in an army with these guys, Troglodyte Trainer, the commander, because they have the Beastmaster and Taskmaster trait. To expand, I use the Shard Guard and Defender of the Halls. Just have a couple of these in your army formation and have a decent bless, and you should be alright. Even without a bless, these do pretty well. So next we'll talk about the summons that I used. So the main summon I used would be the Sentinel, and that's because it has good hit points, good protection. The defense is kind of trash, and the attack skill is alright. But they are sacred, most importantly, so they can be blessed, and they are slash and pierce resistant, so they take a lot of damage before they die. They are an animate, so if you take regeneration for your Pretender Bless, they don't regenerate any health, and they also don't regenerate any health after the battle's over. So, for example, if they take damage during the battle, they don't recover that damage after the battle's been over, unless you have the Pretender Bless Reconstruction, which I didn't take. And that's an option if you want to take that Pretender Bless or not. I didn't happen to use it. I would say that Reconstruction would be better for a late game Agartha, but I chose to focus my power spike mostly on the mid game, so that's why I took Regenerate. We're going to talk about my Pretender God after this, but first we'll talk about the summons. Magma Child is another summon that you can use with Agartha. These are pretty good units. They do have a heat aura, so I would keep these away from your main army. Like this, you would set them to attack closest. Like that. Put your army somewhere around here. And let these guys go in first and set your army to hold and attack closest. You should be alright. But I believe the spell is... where is it? Conjuration. Rux Pact. So you get 3 of these per 2 fire gems. So it's a really good ratio to have for this unit, in my opinion. The Sentinels are pretty expensive. I forgot to mention that. They cost 2 earth gems and you only get 1 per Sentinel. Keep in mind that these also take mage turns as well. So if you want to spam this unit, you're going to lose out on research, but unfortunately you kind of have to. Tentative statues you can use, which is basically a lesser version of the Sentinel. You actually get 2 tentative statues. You can use these to expand. The Granite Guard I didn't really use because I thought it was too expensive to mass. Oracle's a commander. And the Hail of Statues is late game. Basically, you want to try to aim for this spell when you're playing Middle Age Agartha. It summons 20 Sentinels for 30 Earth Gems. And if you have Earthblood Deepwell, which I do have in this campaign, you can spend the Earth Gems and you get 17 Earth Gems and +5 if you're in a cave. So I have plus 39 Earth Gems. That's how much I'm making per turn, so I don't really have a problem with that. I have my Pretender God ritually casting this ritual per month, and I'm full on Sentinels. Another summon you can use is an undead summon, which is the Umbral. These are ethereal, so they're going to need magic weapons or some kind of magic damage to hurt these units. They're also amphibian and they're undead, so you need to put them with a commander that has undead leadership like the Oracle. The next unit I want to talk about is the Great Olm. You can summon this with, I think your Golem Crafters can summon this. Let me check just to make sure. Yeah, your Golem Crafters can summon this. So Olm Conclaves, it's kind of expensive, 20 water gems, but you get 15 Great Olms and 1 Olm Sage Commander, which are these guys right here. They're sacred, so they can be blessed. They're also amphibian, and they also have the Fortune Teller. So, like I said before, if you want to take misfortune on your Pretender God, you can. And they also provide 11 research. So, the unit itself, though, the Great Olm, has a low protection stat, which you're obviously going to be buffing with Marble Army or Legions of Steel. Or Legions of Steel doesn't work on this unit, but Marble Army does. They have Mind Blast, which is pretty good, and they have they're sacred, so they can be blessed as well. So, I guess we could talk about the spells that I used. Most of them are from Alteration. So, Marble Army grants natural protection, max up to 15. You want to aim for this spell. Lesser version of Marble Army would be Marble Warriors. Marble Army affects the entire battlefield, so it just gives more protection to your natural protection to your units. Marble Warriors is a lesser version, like I said, it just has an area of effect of 20. Then Group Iron Skin and Group Stone Skin are lesser versions of that. That's pretty much all for Alteration. Minus Earth Meld, I think I talked about that. And you want to go down enchantment, obviously, for the summons. Evocation for Magma Bolts and Blade Wind. You can also cast Earthquake. I didn't really need it this campaign, but you can get your oracles to cast Earthquake. Magma Eruption is also an option for your Golem Crafters if you want to forge a booster item, so they can cast that. One spell I wanted to talk about, Rigor Mortis is a spell that you can cast on your oracles. You're going to need a booster item, though. I think it's a staff that you need to craft to cast this. Twiceborn is something you want to cast on your oracles. Basically, if your oracle dies in combat, he gets reborn, and he gets a bunch of random traits and magic paths. So that's something to think about if you want to use the gems on that. For construction, we use Soldiers of Steel, which grants 3 protection to all armor parts, so it's useful for your defenders and your shard guard. Then we focused on Legions of Steel, which is a battlefield spell. It's basically a better version of Legions of Steel or Soldiers of Steel, and it casts it for the entire battlefield. Okay guys, so this is the Pretender that I used for the Middle Age Agartha campaign. We took somewhat scales. We got 8 Earth and 7 Nature. This is more of a balanced build. I did take larger for mostly for the HP boost, and we also took Regenerate to complement that HP boost. This is going to help keep our Shard Guards alive and our Olms alive and basically all of our casters alive. One downside to taking larger is the -1 defense, which is a worthy sacrifice in my opinion. You can use this commander to cast Earthblood Deepwell, to cast Hall of Statues. It's a pretty standard bless. If I was going to do it over again, I would pick up Fire and take some attack skill bonus, because our units suffer from low attack, and if you're going up against a nation that has glamour and high defense units, your Shard Guards are going to have trouble hitting them. I would also think about taking Reconstruction, which is going to help our statues recover from any damage they've taken during a battle. So as it stands right now, statues do not recover any hit points from a battle. So if they get damaged, it's permanent, and they lose HP, it's permanent. So I think late game, it would be better to take Reconstruction. So that's pretty much it guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.